What is going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast. Now, over the last couple of nights of Yankee games, we've had some big, huge things happen, some humongous accomplishments for the season, one personal and one team. So we begin with the obvious news. Aaron Judge has tied Roger Maris and 61 home runs. That gives him a tie atop the American League record. Now, when it comes to this grandiose accomplishment, it clearly was weighing on Aaron Judge. It took him quite a while between home run number 60 and number 61, but it got done, it got accomplished. And you could see the relief on Aaron Judge's face after the home run went out in Toronto. Now, one other thing that I want to make mention of here with the home run 61, it now affords Aaron Judge the opportunity to break what is the American League record for most home runs in a single season. There are a lot of conversations happening, a lot of questions happening about the overall record. There are several seasons that have had more home runs, a couple by Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, and of course Barry Bonds. And depending on who you ask, they will all have different answers as to what the record is. It's either Bonds, it's Maris. Those seasons for McGuire, Sosa, and Bonds shouldn't count because of the steroid situation and those kind of concerns and things of that nature. But when you look at what this season is for Aaron Judge, it's an absolutely phenomenal year. Yes, he has the opportunity now with 3 games in New York to break the American League record and put some distance between he and those numbers of Roger Maris that happened 61 years ago. I think that when you look at what this season has been for Aaron Judge, the fact that he is competing for a triple crown at the time of this recording, he has the first place in all 3 of the categories: batting average, home runs, and RBIs. And if you really break down what is capable for a player like Aaron Judge, this is absolutely phenomenal and something that you may not expect to see year in and year out. How can you expect to see 61 home runs? And while Judge may not get to this mark again, it is something that he is now capable of. This is 2 seasons now in Aaron Judge's career where he's hit over 50 home runs. And I think that when you look at what Aaron Judge means for the New York Yankees, it's without question that he is their most valuable player. We had a video up here on the channel just a few days ago about the fact that Aaron Judge is the most valuable player in the American League in 2022. And there's nothing and no one that can convince me otherwise. But when you look at what this now means for the New York Yankees, obviously, that $213.5 million deal that was offered at the beginning of the year that was turned down for Aaron Judge to bet on himself, to believe in himself that he could achieve something greater, achieve something more, that has now come to fruition. And it is a best and worst case scenario for the New York Yankees because Judge now has extremely elevated what that number has to be for any potential deal to get him to re-sign with the New York Yankees. It's going to have to at least, at bare minimum, start at $320 million, in my opinion, at minimum. Now, however you want to stretch that out, maybe it's 8 at 320, or if you want to go to, 350 at 10. This is a 30-year-old outfielder who has proven his ability in such a huge monumental way for the New York Yankees in 2022. And it's not just the fact that he plays Gold Glove caliber defense in right field. We have seen him play extremely well in center field And especially being as big as he is at 6'7", 282, I believe he's listed at, being able to be extremely graceful in center field, being able to get to things that you wouldn't expect a man of that size to be able to get to. So being able to play stellar defense in center and right gives Aaron Judge even more potential value. And then you add in the offensive season that he's had and the capabilities that he has shown throughout the course of this year. And one of the things that really stood out to me through this kind of chase to 61 was that Judge was even more selective at the plate. They said on the broadcast last night, I believe, that Aaron Judge was walked 13 times between home runs number 60 and number 61, including 4 the other night against the Blue Jays. When you look at what Aaron Judge has done for the Yankees this season, he carried them through an absolute valley. And we're going to get into the Yankees in just a moment, but through an absolute valley, Aaron Judge carried this New York Yankees franchise this season, giving them an opportunity, giving them the ability to clinch the American League East, which, like I said, we'll get into in just a moment. But this is your franchise star. This is the player you build around. I've said it multiple times and I'll say it here again. You have done for Aaron Judge, the Yankees have done for Aaron Judge what they've done for no one else. It has always been about the team. And when any player would try to supersede the New York Yankees as a franchise, it was seen as a distraction. But the Yankees have done for Aaron Judge in creating the Judge's Chambers, a section in right field that is specific to Aaron Judge. That is franchise focused marketing on one player. It wasn't done for Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Jorge Posada, Andy Pettit, Bernie Williams. These homegrown stars have ever received that treatment. It wasn't done for high priced free agents like Reggie Jack, Alex Rodriguez via trade. It wasn't done for a guy like CC Sabathia that has ingrained himself in this organization. But for Aaron Judge, it was done, and done very quickly, I might add, in his tenure with the New York Yankees. This is a player that you have built your franchise around, and it is now time to pay Aaron Judge what he is worth. I've said it before, and I will say it again here now. Hal Steinbrenner and the Yankees need to go to Aaron Judge with an absolutely blank check and write in how many years and how much money. He has proven this year to be 100% worth it. What Aaron Judge was able to do this season is unprecedented. We've only seen seasons like this through the course of history. And most recent history is clouded with steroid allegations and actual steroid use. This season is not even so much for me about the number 61 that he reached, but about the fact that he put this team on his back and carried them through what was an absolute decrepit valley of the way the team played. But they came out of the other side. So that leads me into the second part of the topic, the discussion here. The Yankees have clinched the American League Eastern Division Championship, and by doing so have guaranteed themselves at one of the two buys in the first wild card round of this new playoff format. More than likely, almost 100% guaranteed at this point, that they will be the second seat behind the Houston Astros. And let me just kind of run off a little tangent here really quickly. It always felt to me this year that the championship, the World Series, was always going to have to run through Houston for the New York Yankees. It always felt to me that there was going to be some sort of big time clash in the postseason and that the Yankees would have to win in Houston in order to be able to make the World Series. And it's very much going to have to be the case. Now, there's not going to be an easy path to the World Series. I'll tell you that right now. This new wild card format is going to be very interesting, and I'm extremely excited to see how it plays out. But by having three wild card teams, having the Guardians play one of those teams and the other two face off against each other and then bracket up to the Yankees and the Astros, to me, it was always going to come down to how the Yankees respond to the Houston Astros. And as we've seen over the last several years of postseason play between the Yankees and the Astros, it has always gone in the favor of the Astros. 2017, 2019, anytime they come face to face in the postseason, the Astros have gotten the better of the New York Yankees. But to me, this season has felt different, and I've said it. I said it at the beginning of the year, the trades that were made, and while they looked horrible for most of the season, Josh Donaldson has now turned it on. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is still questionable in my mind. I don't think that he's long for shortstop in the Bronx. And not that he's done an absolutely terrible job, because if you look at his career numbers, offensively, he's in line with his actual career numbers. I think that there's a lot of eyes and pressure that are now on him defensively. And I think that that is weighing on him. I think that you have to have confidence as a Major League Baseball player. You can't get to the majors without it, in my opinion. But I think that right now, sometimes on defense, I don't know if it's overconfidence in his ability, and that's what's making him lose focus, or if it's just a mental lapse in judgment that's making him lose that focus on the field. And you can see that at times when he picks his head up off the ball and doesn't keep his eyes on it as it's making its way into his glove. The double tap as he's getting ready to throw. He doesn't have the strongest throwing arm, so that's already going to be something where you have to release the ball quickly. A guy like Omar Vizquel never had a strong throwing arm. Derek Jeter never had a strong throwing arm, but they positioned himself well and they released the ball quickly. And at no point am I going to say that I believe Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is a Gold Glove caliber shortstop, because he's not. There were other options for the Yankees. There are other options now sitting on the bench in Oswald Peraza, who's a much better shortstop, in my opinion, who's an actual shortstop, in my opinion. But the Yankees have made this situation something that they can bear with having IKF at short. And when it comes to the postseason, blunders in fielding on the base pass, they get magnified. The zoom becomes 100 times much bigger. The lens with which the baseball world looks at teams is so much greater in the postseason. And the Yankees need to figure out exactly what they have in IKF, in my opinion. If he's going to be capable of handling the moment. We know that the Yankees were like his favorite team growing up, and I think that put a lot of undue pressure on him to start the season. But as we've gotten into the season, as he's kind of rounded out into his form, there's just a lot of errors mentally, you know, because you have to compensate for a weaker throwing arm by being quicker. And you can sometimes see IKF thinking when he's on the field. And if you have to think about it when it's happening, you're already too late. But back to the point at hand. The Yankees have clinched the American League East. They have put themselves on a direct course for the World Series by making it into the postseason as the second best team, likely record wise, giving themselves a bye in the wild card round. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this whole wild card round shapes out leading into the division series, which is where the Yankees and Astros will jump back into the fray. The good thing about the Yankees having clinched the East, and I think what's most important about it, is that it gives the Yankees extra time to get players back. We've gotten good news about Matt Carpenter potentially being able to return. Some good news about Andrew Benintendi getting his stitches removed, and we're supposed to see the return of DJ LeMahieu in tomorrow's game, Friday, against the Baltimore Orioles in the Bronx. Being able to have that time is going to allow the Yankees to really get themselves an opportunity to get healthy, to get rested, and be able to really put their best foot forward in the postseason. Because as I said a few moments ago, the postseason for the New York Yankees, in my opinion, is running through Houston. They're going to have to beat the Astros. And if the Yankees can beat the Astros, I think they have the ability to beat anyone from the National League side. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some tough teams in the National League, and as we get through the World Series through the postseason, we're definitely going to be looking at the brackets and how they shape up when everything gets kind of finalized over these next 7, 8 games or so for teams. But there's very little question for me for the Yankees to really win the World Series this season. They have to go through Houston. And being able to have this first round bye, you give yourself the ability to rest guys to be able to get the best out of this roster. And there's a lot to like about this roster. Now, I want to hear from Yankee fans. I want to hear from baseball fans. What are your thoughts on the home run race? What is the home run record to you in your mind? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments or find me over on Twitter at banter_baseball. I think that there's a lot to like about this season for the Yankees. I think that there's a lot of questions that still have to be answered. And by having clinched the American League East at this point, we can kind of start to separate ourselves from the day to day and be able to start looking at answering those questions. Who's the game 2 starter? Who are you throwing in game 1? Who is going to be your bench in the postseason? What do you do with a guy like Aaron Hicks? Frankie Montas isn't going to be worked up enough and built up enough to be able to be a starter. Are you keeping him in the bullpen, or is he not going to be on the postseason roster, even though he was acquired to be just that, a postseason starter? So there's a lot of questions that still have to be answered. And I want to know your thoughts, Yankee fans. I want to know baseball fans. I want to know your thoughts on all these things and anything else you might have a question about. Reach out. Send your comments down below, or again, find me over on Twitter at banter_baseball, and we can keep the conversation rolling. As always, keep it locked in to the entire GLMG family with We Sibs, the Granny Geek Show, and of course here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast by hitting the subscribe button on all 3 channels. For sticking around to this point, head over to baseballbanterbroadcast.com. Use the promo code BANTER to save 5% off your order. Keep it locked in all season as we continue to look at the world of Major League Baseball, as well as my thoughts, theories, and personal opinions. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.